What's going on YouTube? This is Kevin Reese bringing you a video on how to change the oil in your 2013 Ford Edge. This one has the 3.5 liter V6 engine. For that you will need a total of 6 quarts of oil. 5W20 synthetic blend Ford Motorcraft is what is recommended by the manufacturer, so always go with that. You can see right here, if you look down, it even tells you on the cap SAE 5W20 Ford Motorcraft recommended. This is where you're going to add your oil. This is where you're going to check your oil. They make it very easy. Oil cap, oil dipstick. You're also going to need an oil filter. This is a Ford Motorcraft, part number FL500S. You really don't need a jack stand for this because they make it so easy to get to. If you come right under the vehicle, you can see here you've got your oil filter. This is your drain pan. Your drain bolt is right here on the back, 15 millimeter. Tools you will need to do this job: 15 millimeter socket and ratchet. And these are just an assortment of oil filter wrenches. You may or may not need these, but usually they're on pretty tight, so these will help make the job easier. If you plan on jacking it up, you also need to put some jack stands under, just for safety. You're also going to need an oil drain pan. So first thing you want to do is make sure the engine's warm. So this engine has been driven recently, so the engine is warm. It will make the oil drain much easier. So you want to come in, you want to locate your hood latch, pull it, and pop the hood. If you plan on jacking it up, also push in and set your parking brake so the vehicle does not roll. And as an extra step, if you're jacking the vehicle up, chock the rear wheels with some bricks or some wood to prevent it from rolling. So with all the tools that we will need, hood open, we're going to go ahead and change this oil and filter. So to get us a little more clearance here for the video, I've opted to jack this vehicle up. You can see right here you've got a support beam. This is where you want to jack from. So place your jack here, and we're going to lift it up some. All right, with your drain pan in place behind the oil plug, we're going to go ahead 15 millimeter. Like I said, it's going to be on there real snug. So with your hammer, we're going to give it a tap just to loosen the plug up. Counterclockwise. There you go. So as a rule of thumb, really, you never want to tap on your ratchet. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I don't have a breaker bar this size. I could have used a wrench, but socket just makes things easier. All right, so there you go. Once your oil has stopped flowing and it's just down to a drip, go ahead and reinstall your drain bolt. Remember, clockwise to tighten, counterclockwise to loosen. Or as some people say, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So run it up snug. Now there is a torque spec for this drain bolt. If you're not handy with tools, I suggest you refer to that and use a torque wrench. For me, I do it by hand. For my mechanics out there, if you've been doing this long enough, you know how it feels when it's tight. So once you've got your plug in, wipe away any excess oil. So So next you can see your oil filter here, and as you can see, this filter, this is why I like doing stuff myself. So of course you take this someplace, they're going to use a cheap CarQuest filter on it. They're not going to use a Ford Motorcraft filter. The oil they use is some generic oil. It's not Ford Motorcraft. It's just something they put in everything. So it's better to do this stuff yourself, trust me. Nobody's going to take care of your vehicle as good as you are. So like I said, I'm sure this thing is super tight, probably cannot get it by hand, but it is in an easy position to get to. So I'll just show you real quick a filter wrench. So say a filter wrench like this, you can pop on, and the way this works is it would turn till it's snug, and then you would just turn it. So for the sake, you know, of course, for doing it, for loosening it, it would be this way. So you would pop this on, once you have this on snug, you would just turn it, and you can see it's going to start turning your filter. You can hear how tight that thing is. Boy, they put this thing on here super tight. There's also another one that I like to use, which is this one right here. So this one's pretty cool. This is one of my favorites. I find that it works good, especially in tight places like this where you're normally working. It's almost like a seatbelt fabric type nylon. So you just put a socket wrench on this one. You put it on, and as you tighten it, you can see here that it's taking all the slack out. So it will just turn that filter right off. So that filter's loose. Position your drain pan under it. Go ahead and start turning it. I usually do that, and I'll let it drain some before I pull it the rest of the way off, so you don't get dumped on with oil. They make this very easy on this vehicle to get to, guys. I mean, y'all, it's like the bolts here. So once that's in, I just turn this over, empty the rest of this oil out in your drain pan. And here's the tip for y'all. Always, always, always make sure whenever you remove your old filter that the gasket does not remain here on the bottom of your block, okay? Because I had that happen to me once, and I've mentioned it in other videos, and I almost blew an engine up because of it. One, I left it on. Two, I did not start it up and check for leaks like I should have. I got in it and I was running late for work, and I got to almost to work and my oil light came on, and there was just a drip spray of oil all the way down the road. I almost blew my engine up. So make sure you always check, and then I always wipe any excess off to make sure that it's good to go. And like I said, you can see here that black ring, that's your gasket. Make sure that's on here and did not come off on there. I'd also like to mention, when I was doing that, I was using a Fram oil filter, which I will never use Fram oil filters ever again. For my Fords, it's always Ford Motorcraft. All right, so I always do this at the store, but you want to make sure, open your new filter up before you buy it. Make sure your gasket's on, make sure it's not dinged, dented, damaged, and that it's the actual filter in the box. Like I said, this part number for this vehicle is a FL500S. This is a FL500S filter. So what you do before you put your filter on, go ahead and open your oil. So with your oil open, you want to carefully pour some oil down into the actual filter. So down into here. Try not to get it all over the side. It's easier said than done. This is just so it does not start completely dry. So you can see we've got some oil in there. So the oil that you're gonna inevitably get around this top, you wanna rub right here around this gasket. So this is gonna help make sure you get a nice tight seal against that block. So you'll also inevitably get some oil down the side of the filter. So with a rag, just wipe that off. Now this is what your filter should look like before you put it on. You can see here the gasket's shiny. After you do that, also put the cap back on this, because when you go to put your filter on, you will, and I've done it before, kick that over and all your new oil will be out in the yard or the shop or wherever you are. With your new Ford Motorcraft filter, the hole there in the center, you're gonna thread up onto your oil filter housing on the bottom of your engine block. You're gonna turn it till you set the threads a little counterclockwise and feel it by hand. So right there you could hear that. Now you're just gonna spin it up all the way till it's snug. And I usually hand tighten it as tight as I can get it by hand and just keep turning it, turning it, turning it. And you get it real snug on there. And if you want, you can do like the guys at the shop. Put your filter wrench on. And you can give it a little extra turn. So with that tight like that, you can go ahead and turn it just a little bit more. You see what I'm saying? Nice and snug. And that should be fine. It's not going anywhere. Again, wipe off any excess oil that may have come off during this process. So this will help ensure when you start it up and check for leaks, you're not seeing something that you did. So oil filter on, your drain bolt is on. We're gonna go ahead and add some oil. All right, so your oil dipstick right here. Pull this out, give this a quick wipe. I usually wipe the dirty oil off before I put it back in, but you can see you've got your two hash marks right here and those two circles. You want your oil between these levels. So when it's to the top, you're gonna have 6 quarts of oil, which is what it recommends. So right here to the top of those hash marks in that circle is 6 quarts. When you get down to the bottom, you're a quart low. So I'll leave the oil drain plug out. It just helps the oil to fill into the engine, the crankcase, quicker. So remove your drain cap, like I said, 520. Ford Motorcraft recommended. Always use what the manufacturer recommends, y'all. I can't stress that enough. You got engineers who went to school for many years, very smart, designed this stuff. So don't let Joe Blow in the backyard tell you to run 2050 in it and it'll be all right. So 520 synthetic blend with the funnel. This is 5 quarts. You go ahead with your 5 quarts. Now you can do them individually, a quart at a time. You're gonna save money if you buy the 5 quart jug. I think right now this thing, November 2022, $35.99 for 5 quarts, which is considerably more than it has been in past years. All right. So let the rest of that oil drain in here. All right, we've added 6 quarts, what the vehicle recommends capacity. So we're gonna pop our plug back in, pull it out, let's check our dipstick. As you can see, we're right at the top of the hash mark, right below the circle. So according to our dipstick right now, we're perfect. But you always start it up, let the engine circulate the oil throughout the whole engine, let it sit, and then recheck it. So we're gonna start it up real quick, check for leaks, and recheck our dipstick. And see, if you do this yourself and not some grease monkey over at your local Jiffy Lube, you can actually put the cap on the right way. All right, so you go ahead, pop your key in, turn it on. I usually turn everything off so there's not a load on the engine. Turn the AC and everything, all that stuff off, start it up. So it's gonna run. So you wanna come under, make sure there's no leaks. No leaks around your oil filter. No leaks around your drain plug back here on your oil pan. I'd say we did some solid work. So after you let it run, of course you're gonna have some oil. So you wanna take it out, wipe your dipstick. You can have oil all over the dipstick. Now pull it out. And it looks like we are almost at the top here. You can see, guys, we're right in this area, right? You can see it right there, the hash mark. Almost to the top. I'd say we're very, very close. So we are going to, that's why you let it run. We're gonna add just a little more oil. We're like not even half a quart, maybe a quarter of a quart off. So we're gonna eyeball the back of our jug here. We go ahead. That should be perfect right there. All right, we've let that sit a minute or two. Check it one last time, y'all. Pop your dipstick in. And there you are, right here to the top. So your oil change is complete. Sure, to replace your dipstick, push it all the way in until it clicks. And don't be one of those greasy grease monkeys. Put it on the right way so that when you turn it and lock it, it's upright. And y'all, that's it for this video. I hope that it has helped you. Please hit that like button. If you have any comments, anything I didn't explain, leave a comment and I'll answer you back as soon as I can. Please consider subscribing to my channel to help me out. Kevin Reese, I'll see y'all in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe.